Hello, everybody. I'm Demigo here with the Guns of Icarus podcast. Today with me, I have Adeptus Games,
Hello!
3 Points Down,
Hello again.
and Bay Dragontear.
Yo.
Today we are talking about what to do when you're new to piloting.
Yes, we are.
First topic would be what ships should you bring, or what ships should you use?
Easy. Pyramidion.
Yeah, probably the best way to start. Simply because you can just point and shoot.
Take it as a meta setup. So
Yeah.
go Gat, Mortar, and then like the sides aren't as important. Usually Mercuries, or you could have like flares or mine guns or whatever. But the important part is the Gat Mercury on the front, and then you just point your Pyramidion at the enemy.
Gat
Yeah.
Flak on the front, not Gat Mercury.
Gat
Either.
Mortar. Gat Mortar is what people use now. Gat Flak is also good.
Gat
But
Flak
for
is
the most part,
timing.
you see more Gat Mortars than Gat Flak lately.
You do it that.
Yeah.
You want to
have to
just say
remember with the Pyramidion is you have guns on the front and the left side, but not on the right.
So basically,
Yeah.
There's your weak point.
you need to be
basically
careful
with
to
the
always keep your-
Pyramidion, just point where you want the guns to shoot, and they'll shoot.
I think majority of the time now people are using guns like Mercury guns on the left side or maybe sniping guns. So you can kind of come in at an angle and get some long shots in first, then kind of turn onto them and get some shots in the front.
Yeah, well, what we call a Metamidion nowadays is Gat Flak front to Mercury side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I would call the meta. That's being changed slightly. You see a lot more mine launchers going in there because that's a new weapon and people like to try to make it as useful as possible.
Also,
It
the
has
Gat
pretty good
Mortar.
utility, so it goes well in that side slot.
I mean, occasionally I've seen people use like stuff like flamethrowers on the sides, which could be useful, but you
Not
mainly
really
want to
for
stick with
new to piloting.
Mercury. No, not really.
Another ship that, in my opinion, is good if you try to start off piloting would have to be the Goldfish.
Yes. Similar sort of thing, you can point and shoot, except this time you have a heavy gun on the front as opposed to two lights.
Yes.
But then again, you've also still got your two light guns on the side, so if you are caught off guard and have someone come from the side, you can still shoot.
Yes, pretty much.
Although you have to be quite careful to you can get some pretty good angles with the Goldfish. I mean, you can't get your at least one side gun and the front gun firing at the same time if you're lucky with it, or figure it out time.
No, because the heavy guns don't have that kind of turning degree. Either way,
It depends which heavy gun you use, but
let's get back on topic. Anybody else have any other ship they would recommend for a new pilot?
Well, those two are definitely good for new pilots, and then when you get skilled up, you can attempt the other ships. But those two are probably the easiest ones to pilot as when you're starting off.
I'd say once you've kind of figured out basic piloting, go to something like the Junker, simply because it helps you get used to firing from
Flying
the
broadside.
sides as opposed to the front. Yeah,
Yeah.
It really helps to help you get your angles and stuff.
Yep.
I mean, some people could say the same thing about the Galleon, but it's too slow when you start.
But
off.
you
You
really
need
have to
start
do
with the Junker.
Junker before you move up to the Galleon.
Yeah, you do.
Yes, without a doubt.
I'd say do something in the sort of order of ships you want to try out. Go something like stop me if I'm wrong, like Pyrrha, Goldfish, Junker, Galleon, Squid Spire, or something like that.
Mm.
I would probably throw the Mobula right after the Junker.
Yeah, Mobula. I forgot about that actually. That's kind
Yeah.
of like
Just
Pyrrha,
just
point and
remember,
shoot, but-
yeah. I mean, just remember if you get a Mobula, be prepared. The engineers might start hating you because of how it's set up.
Yes, you have to. You have to know how to run your crew when you're a pilot.
Yes.
Yes,
Uh,
if you don't know how to do that, you're gonna just get fucked up the butt.
Spoken about communication a lot in the past. It's really important when you're a pilot.
Oh
Really?
yes,
Really important.
it
I'd say
is.
It's
more
more important than anything else, actually. I mean, you could be a crap pilot, but good communication so your crew actually know what they're doing.
Will actually win you the game.
I mean, especially
Yes.
since when you're a pilot, the people who the way you're going to learn the most is from your crew. You can watch as many tutorials as you want. The people who are really going to give you the knowledge you need are your engineers, your gunners.
Yes,
I mean,
because
even if it's
they're gonna be
even
the
if it's-
ones. They're gonna be the ones shooting the guns, so they're
Yeah.
gonna be telling you where your ship needs to be facing.
yeah,
And by doing that, you're gonna learn yourself how to face your ship. Sorry, to attack an enemy. it's slowly going to sink in. It's like, okay, this enemy is over there. I need to turn my ship to face this way. And it just slowly gets built, or I want to say beat into you.
It slowly sort of
Yeah.
clicks in your head what you need to do.
Yes.
I mean, the things that at first you're kind of really worrying about, like, oh, gonna miss this building here, oh, make sure I have the gun right. Eventually, they'll just become things you just do without thinking about it. You'll just be going straight through them. You won't even have to worry about them.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Moving
anything
on
to
to
add,
the
Fade? Does Fade have anything to add since you've been kind of quiet?
yeah. Well,
No, you guys been covering it. I'm waiting for you guys to say something wrong so I could correct you.
GG Fade. We're all
We at least
pilots.
know what we're
That's not
talking
gonna
about
happen.
then.
We're all pilots. You're not gonna get us saying something wrong.
We'll see.
Maybe. Right.
Moving on to the next topic. What tools should you be bringing?
I'd say that's all down to your personal preference. I mean, you majority of the time on most ships you want something to give you a little bit of extra speed. So that's either kerosene or moonshine.
Recommended kerosene.
I
Yeah,
use
for a
both.
starting pilot. I mean, moonshine and kerosene are pretty similar, except moonshine you'll end up going a lot faster, but it degenerates your engines a lot quicker.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I cut in here and explain something? The reason why you pick moonshine, generally, like, it does offer a little bit of a speed, like an acceleration boost, and that's great. You don't generally use it too much for the acceleration, however. The main reason why you're picking moonshine is because it straightens your ship out and it reduces your turning. So when you're ramming somebody, if you're moonshine ramming, it won't deter your ship and turn you off to the side like a bump.
So essentially,
You'll keep going forward, yeah. And that's why you take moonshine most of the times.
That's something I didn't know. Okay. Okay, people also bring. What else is there? There's Phoenix Claw you can bring.
Yeah,
That's
which is
very
definitely
useful if you
good
need
for
to turn
turning.
quickly.
Phoenix Claw, pretty much you want to take all the time.
Especially
Yeah,
when you're on the
it's so
Pyramidian.
Yeah.
That Phoenix
Yeah,
Claw
but
makes it
for
safe.
any ship, Phoenix Claw is good.
With things,
Except
if
for
you have it
Phoenix
on the
Fire.
things like the Pyramidian, okay. An ideal situation could use something like Phoenix Claw. Put it this way: if you've got a ship on your right side where you have no guns, you're going to need to turn pretty quickly and get your guns facing them, especially if they're shooting at you. So Phoenix Claw is always useful just to get you back on target shooting. Even if you've just, for example, another situation, if you've just been rammed, and you're now facing the wrong way, Phoenix Claw can be great to get you turning back into the action.
Yep, there's not a situation usually where Phoenix Claw isn't useful.
Yeah.
So you should just probably always have it.
Also, seeing as how this podcast is tools that this topic is about tools that a new pilot should bring. Sorry, I suggest impact bumpers because as a new pilot, odds are you could be running into most of the buildings, probably hitting the ground times. So the impact bumpers,
although it slows you down.
Although it slows down your max speed, it's good because that means you won't be killing yourself before the enemy kills you.
Yeah, really.
For the most part, myself personally, now I'm not going to say, like, don't take impact bumpers because, yes, in some situations, like Demigo just mentioned, they are useful. For the most part, when I would be taking impact bumpers, though, it would be combined with moonshine. So I moonshine into the enemy, throw on the bumper, throw back the moonshine on so I don't get bumped off arc, and then it's better for ramming that way. What the bumper does, you guys really should explain the mechanics of it before you say its uses. It basically reduces any damage you take from hitting physical objects.
Yeah, pretty much.
So it's good for ramming. It's good if you're really bad and you're going to be bumping into a lot of buildings. Other than that, it's not a really good thing for you to take, I would say.
It's a good beginner's item when you're kind of figuring out, how to fly the ship, and you might be hitting a few things, but once you get to a decent sort of level and you have a decent amount of experience, you're really only going to be using it for, as Fade said, ramming and stuff like that,
or balloon popping,
or not even using it.
Yeah,
that's the case with me.
I don't use it as much at all now.
Yeah, I only use them when I go to take out a ship I haven't used in a while, mainly because you just need to get a feel for how big the ship is, and the impact bumpers are basically like a failsafe in case you misguess the size of the ship compared to the map, and you accidentally run into something.
I think the next three things we should probably mention are the balloon ones. So you've got like shoot vent, hydrogen, and there's one more, I believe. Or is it just
There
two?
is a drag shoot.
Drag shoot. There you go. So hydrogen effectively damages the balloon, but
It
it
gives you
also
superior lift.
yeah, it means you can rise up really fast. Shoot vent is the complete opposite. It makes you go down really, really fast.
But it still
And
damages the balloon.
yep.
Yeah,
And
and-
then there is the
Drag
last.
shoot.
I'm not sure about that, so you might explain.
Okay.
Basically-
If you don't mind, if I can explain this.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first two that he explained there, I think is it hydrogen or is it helium? It might be
Hydrogen.
hydrogen. Well, anyway, the hydrogen and the downshoot basically like up and down really quickly, which gives you superior positioning or allows you to get out of the enemy gun arcs. So those are two sort of advanced tools that you would want to be using. You definitely want to get used to them. The
Yeah.
downshoot, what happens with that is if your balloon's popped and you pop that on, you won't drop as quickly.
Mm.
So if you're facing somebody who has a lumberjack or a carronade, for example, that's a really really good item to have. So
Yeah.
you'll see that in competitive games as a counter pick to a balloon popping build.
I think that a lot of the time having something like things like shoot vents can be used in a lot of different situations. Is it vent shoot or shoot vent?
Shoot
I
vent.
kind of get the wrong right. Shoot vent, all right.
Shoot vent, and then we have the
Drag
other one's like
shoot.
a drought,
Yeah,
like a drag shoot or something.
I think there's a lot of different applications for these. For example, I use shoot vent or vent shoot or whatever. I use it when I have my balloon popping builds, simply so
You can keep up with the enemy when
yeah,
it's popping.
you pop a balloon and as they're going down, you can keep at the same level as them, keep shooting on them, or even go above them and just use it to come down on top of them and crush them against the terrain
Yep.
and stuff like that. There's a lot of different uses for these, but it can give you a massive advantage, especially if you're just doing something like popping up and down cover. Just popping in and out of cover.
Yeah, it's good for sniping,
Try to shoot.
especially if there's like say an obstacle that you can like go over and then pop off a couple snipe shots and duck behind. That's something you would want like hydrogen or shoot vent for, just so you have the extra speed to either get out there or get back behind it.
I'm trying to think of other things that we may have missed.
I mean, we haven't talked about the tar, which
Oh,
can
tar.
be hard
Oh,
to use
God,
at
tar.
times.
Okay, can I actually explain the tar? The tar is basically the most dishonorable move you can pick. It's the coward's move in Guns of Icarus, in my opinion. It's pretty effective. Like, I mean, all it does is shoot some black smoke out of the back of your ship, which breaks the enemy ship.
However, it
It's kind of a
damages
dirty
actively.
move. And like, I'm not gonna fault somebody
Literally.
for using it. I don't know. I don't use it personally. I feel it's too.
I don't
cheap.
know if
I
anyone
have a couple
knows
things
the.
to say, Alex, if you mind.
Oh,
I
yeah,
actually have
sure,
a couple
sure.
of things to say about the tar. First,
Okay.
it's the basically Fade. I do agree with you that how it's like cowardly, but the thing is the damage is actually equivalent to that of Moonshine, so you can't spam it like you used to. Because I'm not sure
Yeah.
if they changed the damage output or whether or not it was fixed or something. Not sure about that. But if you're new to piloting, I honestly do suggest you take tar, mainly because if you're in a sticky situation and you need to get out of there, popping tar behind you and just running is the easiest way to do that.
It's a
Mm.
great counter attack as well for if for example a ship that has no rear facing guns like the galleon, and you need to get someone off your tail fast. It's a great thing to have then in that sort of situation.
Oh
Or
yeah,
if you're something like a squid and you're moving really fast, you can just go underneath the ship, come up above it, and get the tar in its face. I kind of agree with what you mean about the kind of being a coward's move. I'm not entirely sure. I see where you're coming from, but you do see it used sometimes in competitive play.
Yeah, it can
kind of-
save your life, definitely.
yeah,
I'm not gonna say it's a bad move. I'm just saying it's a cheap move.
I don't know
yeah.
if anyone knows the history of how tar was created or something, but I'm pretty. Stop me if I'm wrong on this, 'cause I'm not entirely sure, but I'm pretty sure. It actually no, I'm not going to try and no, don't worry. I thought it was made or it was created by accident or by the result of someone trolling or something. I can't exactly remember. Someone in music explained it to me before, but I can't remember. So
So I mean,
the-
I've used tar
I'm
quite
Googling it.
well because I've actually used it to block the enemy from attacking my ally who was nearly dead. So I managed to save them. And another one is I sort of made a dual arena and I just did a one-on-one fight against someone, so I sort of blocked them off from escaping themselves. So I've used it in the opposite way of stopping them from escaping.
All right, if
I
I
never
can just
thought
say
about
something
that.
as well, really quick. If you have any opinions on Tara, what are your thoughts on Tara? Leave a comment on the YouTube video.
Oh
and
yes,
we'll check it out.
please. I really want to hear about this.
And just hear the ingenious ways people actually use it.
Yeah, people do really use it in good ways. Like me personally, if I'm not, I don't do it anymore. But I was newer to the game because I started off flying the Junker, which odds are you shouldn't really be doing, and the Junker's a slower ship. I would have like tar and kerosene, and I would be switching between it like every other second. This way, I leave tar behind me so they can't chase me, and I also have the kerosene to put me or to make me move faster away from them.
Another thing I've just read on the wiki actually about Tara is that it can also be a good way to try and break an enemy spot on your ship, as
Oh, yeah.
if you're behind Tara, it actually decreases your ship visibility by 80%,
Yeah,
which can
it
be
does.
really, really good if you're trying to stay hidden.
Keep in mind you can tire yourself as well.
You
And
can.
your
Yeah.
allies.
So yeah, I don't like tire for that reason
Be careful.
because I do tire myself quite often.
Yeah, that's the whole reason I stopped using it. I kept backing up into the tar. I would accidentally place. It's a mess.
Yeah.
Oftentimes you could screw yourself over.
Yeah, that's why I wouldn't really recommend it for beginners in a way, because you might accidentally back into your own tar and kill yourself.
Yeah.
Yep.
Um,
And
Or disable
As
yourself
far-
so badly, and then you could just do a simple pot shot.
as far as other piloting tools, don't ever take a spyglass.
Oh, never.
It's implied that your crew is going to have the spyglasses and make the spots for you. So you want to have that. You want to have that slot open for something more effective for the pilot.
I mean, if
I
you're
think
looking at the
there's-
progression for the pilot, most of the time when it says spying, that use the spyglass, it's always saying your crew should. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can just leave that out, so you can take
I
an
mean-
extra item.
If you really feel you need it, bring it. But you know that there's no real situation that I can think of where you'd need it with you.
Yeah. I
Some
agree.
pilots just like to be really proactive. Like I suppose if your team's a little bit slack,
Or if
but
AI.
Or
for the
they're
most
all
part,
occupied.
like ideally you don't want to
Yes.
have a spyglass as a pilot. You could have something much more effective.
I think we've actually covered most
All the
things
pilot
about the
purpose, yeah.
pilot. To be
Um,
honest.
moving on to the next topic, which we covered a little bit already, your gun loadouts. Just so we don't go talking about this for every ship, we're going to talk about
Okay.
what guns you should be bringing for the Pyramidion, the Goldfish, and the Junker.
Okay. Which one do you want to start with? Maybe the Junker would be a good one.
Yes.
The Junker is pretty a pretty simple build. Most people kind of have the same-ish sort of things on them. Most of them, most people either have gats on the bottom or the top, and then they either have something like a flak or a mortar. More recently, a mortar.
Yes.
Just so you've got the gats to shred the hull, and or the
Armor.
hull, and then you hull armor, and then you have the explosive power from the flak or the mortar to destroy the hull health. I
Yeah,
mean, you have a gun in the front, and some people go with a third gat. Others go with
more of a support weapon like the flare,
yeah.
the mine
Well, some-
launcher.
well, some people have Mercuries. There's
Yeah.
a lot of
Well-
different things people go for.
People have stopped using Mercuries with the new nerf because now they don't have the good turning arc anymore. So
Yes.
I've been seeing a lot more like carronades on the front. This way you could go chase down the enemy or even Artemis.
I mean, really, we're gonna obviously suggest quite a few different gun loadouts. It's all down to testing and finding out what you like. I mean,
Yeah.
when I first started, I started playing with Demigo. I think my first Junker had something like
A bunch of carronades.
3 carronades or something. It was ridiculous, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyone else? I don't know.
Anybody
Yeah,
else?
anyway,
Their builds for Junkers?
Okay, so a Junker I run, it runs similar to a Pyramidion. It's a brawler type ship, so you definitely have that gap mortar on one side. The Mercuries used to be on the other side, but as you said, that was nerfed recently. So once again, like with the Pyramidion, you have some options there. You could put flares, you could put mines have pretty good utility. You could have a second brawler side where you have another gat mortar
Or
or
even
2 gats or
carronades.
2 mortars, depending on your allies. And for the front gun, you can put whatever you want there. Artemis, Banshee, Mercury.
Yeah.
Really, like anything fits in that front slot. Generally, something long range.
Yeah.
Because when you are fighting the enemy, you are going to be on one of your sides, preferably your brawl side.
You don't really ever see any junkers, really up close and personal, with just flamers.
Oh,
and
for sure.
Well,
Yeah, no,
it
you
could be done,
You definitely
you
see a
do
lot of
see
really
it, but
up
that's
close
for achievement whoring.
I haven't seen as many, but
Dude,
okay.
do you
Well,
watch competitive games?
I'll take your word for this. Not as much.
Junkers are a brawler ship, dude.
Oh, without a doubt.
They are
Their
definitely in
hull
your
armor
face.
is second to that of the galleon. If you are using
True,
the junker
true.
for brawling, you're doing something wrong.
I'm telling you, a junker is a
Then
brawl
again,
ship.
I haven't played in a while because of my computer issues, but
Yes.
being able to watch in a while though.
So, Adeptus, do you have anything to add on to the topic of the junker?
I mean, like with my junker loadout, I have a Gat flak on each side, and at the front I've got an Artemis. And because I'm a pilot, I make sure my gunner has the right ammo so the Artemis can actually turn. So I've got 3 guns broadside at any one time.
Yeah.
I think we'll probably start talking about your cruise ammo types and stuff, or engineering gunner ammo types at a later date. But
Yeah, probably next.
a lot of the time, if you are a pilot, you need to make sure that your crew does have the right ammo types, or the ammo types that you feel be best.
Yes.
But then, if you have a good gunner, they may instinctively know what ammo type for which gun.
Yes. Also, moving on to the next ship, the Goldfish.
Oh,
Me personally, when I fly a Goldfish, I take the carronade on the front with either Gatling mortar or double mortar. Although more of a build for new people I've seen is the Hwacha and the Gat Flak.
Mm.
Uh,
The Hwacha I'd say is a pretty good starting weapon for any ship. If you've just started the game, a Hwacha is a good all-rounder. I mean, you can do some pretty good damage up close as well as long range. It's not too hard to shoot. It doesn't really require a massive amount of skill, especially if you're just starting the game with a couple of your own friends who are also like lowish levels. A Hwacha could be a good gun for the front. Yeah.
Anybody else have anything to add on to the Goldfish build?
Yes.
Yes.
When we get into heavy weapons, this becomes a completely different game. It becomes down to more of the gunner and less of the pilot. As well, it has to do with map situations. So, depending on the map that you're loading into, like you want to pick a different type of goldfish. We have pretty much any kind of goldfish is viable in a given situation. So for close-up brawling, the carronade is definitely going to be ideal for you. If you're going to be having more long-range engages, you could definitely go for the lumber
or the
flak, depending on your team. Now, see, I don't want to get too much into the meta of the teams and stuff like that, but basically it depends on what your ally has, and you gotta support your ally with the heavy weapon.
Yes.
So if they have a meta Midian, for example, a lumberjack would do.
Yes. Anybody else have anything to add?
The Hwacha fish is good for disabling. Also good for close range brawls. But it does depend on armor stripping.
Yeah.
Same as the heavy flak.
Looking at you have to remember your sight guns as well. If you're gonna go with something if you are gonna have something like a lumber or flak on the front, there's no point having something like a flamethrower on the side. It's ridiculous. If you're gonna be you may want a close range gun in case you do end up being close range. But if you are going for a long range ship to support a close up ally, you don't really want something. Hold
on. Let me correct you here.
Yes.
If you're using a heavy weapon, if you're using a lumberjack, your side guns aren't really all that useful anyway. So having a flamethrower is all right because it's a defensive choice. I think there's better choices than a flamethrower for the side weapons on a fish, but for the most part, you're focusing on the heavy weapon, and the side weapons aren't going to get as much use.
Okay. One weapon you should never put on the side of a goldfish, and I mean ever, especially with the last update, is the Mercury. Because the turning it's not going to be good at all. You're going to have to point your front gun so far out of the way just to get a shot with the Mercury that once it's reloaded, you're going to be dead. So,
yeah, I would agree with that.
Never take the Mercury on the goldfish.
if you really think you can pull it off, give it a try. It's always a good learning experience. But yeah.
So, Adeptus, thoughts on the goldfish?
Not really. You've sort of covered everything because most of the time, I mean, what I do when I'm flying my goldfish is when the heavy gun's reloading, because I normally go up close with the brawling with either the Hwacha or the carronade, which some would say you shouldn't do that with the Hwacha, but the closer you are, the more effective sometimes the rockets are if your gunner's not the best. But I sort of turn so that then my side gun can get pot shots off whilst the heavy gun's reloading. Then once it's reloading, turn back for the heavy gun to fire.
Yeah, that's why you want guns on the side that have a high turning arc or turning radius, like the Gatling or the flat cannon.
Okay, Pyramidium.
Yes, the final
We
ship.
we pretty much covered that at the beginning anyway because we were talking about like a gap flat gap mortar sort of combo. But
Yeah, there's no point in going back over that.
well, there are some things you could try. I mean, I have a bit of a weird period to be honest. I go with on the front a carronade gat. I kind of treat it like a more of a disabling ship. I kind of treat my Pyrrha like a squid. Really have the gat on the hull,
See,
the barking dog on the balloon, disabling the whole ship, and
you
then
used to be able
someone
to.
else can come along.
The thing is, you used to be able to do that, but the fact that they nerfed the Pyramidian's top speed means that that's a harder maneuver to pull off.
I can still go with it, and it still works in some situations. But if you're going to go with a ship like that, you need to make sure you really know your ally, and you need to make sure that he will be there to finish him off. Since if you are
Yes.
going with a ship like that, it's very difficult to finish a ship off. You can get him to the brink of death, but it's hard to get that final kill.
Anybody have anything to add to Pyramidian?
It's pretty easy. You should
point
play
to-
Pyramidion first, and that's how you learn the game.
Yeah.
And you can also try different loadouts with the Pyramidion because it's quite a good all-round ship.
Yeah,
Oh, yes, definitely.
you can use it for long range sniping, but at the
Oh.
same time use it for up close ramming. It works for a good all rounder.
It's the most versatile of all the ships in the game.
But you just
No.
need to remember
Oh,
it
God,
is one
no.
of the best rammers
No,
in
what
the game.
what is the more versatile than the gold or the Pyramidian then Fade?
I would not say. I would say the Galleon is a lot more versatile. So is the Junker.
Because
The
the
Pyramidion is
Junker-
just the
Maybe.
Pyramidion is mainly ease of use. It has like a very slow turning arc, but it has front-facing guns. That's the main thing with the Pyramidian is that it has a front-facing gun combo that can kill. The
It's a good
Galleon
ram-
doesn't have any front-facing guns. The Junker doesn't have any front-facing guns. The Goldfish has a front-facing gun, but it's not a kill combo gun. The Squid has a front-facing gun, but you can't kill with that Squid gun. And that's
Well-
why the Pyramidion is so easy. It's just you look at the enemy. The arc is really simple. You just keep them in your view in the front. And there you go. And if you want to switch to sniping, yes, you can do that. It does have some versatility, but not as much as, say, a Galleon, where you could have 4 heavy weapons, in different configurations, and just, you could theory craft, like, so many combinations of things that could be effective with the Galleon. With the Pyramidion, it's simply, there's basically 3, maybe 4 effective ways that you can run a Pyramidion, and really only 2 super effective ways.
Okay.
I see where you're coming from with that, but I think that's something you can't say for definite. That's something that's based on the pilot's skill level and the way the pilot flies.
Yeah, I mean, all pilots have their. After you've flown on the ships for a while, you all, kind of have your own preference of a ship. Every pilot will have 1 or 2 ships that they think they're pretty good at flying, and they'll really get used to. And I think that you really just need to have a go at flying all the ships. Have a go with as many loadouts as you can. If you really want to, hop into sandbox mode, test out some stuff in that. And kind of figure out the best sort of loadout for you. Since it's all down to, as Demigo was saying, the pilot's skill with different guns, ships, and stuff. So
Yes.
I mean, if you're flying with an ally who says you need to be a Pyrrha for this sort of map, if you really think you can fly something better, give it a try, see how you do.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Moving on to the last topic about piloting. Basically, what should you know? Like small little facts, basically. Like, if you're new to piloting and you're trying to turn faster, just cut your engines. Just
Yeah.
make it so the dial's on off, and you'll turn a lot faster than if you're trying to go forward at the same time.
Another small fact, or just something to look out for, if you're in a, damn it, I keep forgetting this. Where you're piloting from the front of the ship. What's that called? Anyone?
Bow?
I have no idea what you're talking about, dude.
When you
Yeah.
have to wheel at the very front of the ship, like at the Pyrrha. You have
Yes.
a broadside ship if your thing's at the back. No one. Whatever. Okay, I'll
Mobula.
try. No,
Mobula has
no.
it at the has
No,
the
no,
same
no,
wheel at the front.
no,
Yes.
I mean,
All ships have a steering wheel that face frontward 3 points.
no. I mean, what's it called? What's it called if the wheel is at the front of the ship?
It
as
doesn't.
opposed
It's
to
not
being
called
at the
anything.
back?
You can
It's
have a
called
broadside-
the wheel is at the front of the ship.
Okay, whatever. Then. But, if you're on a ship like the Pyramidium or the Mobula, where you have your wheel at the very front of the ship, you have to remember. You have to be very careful of your rear. Make sure that when you're turning, you're not just smacking that into rocks and buildings all around you, especially in maps like Labyrinth or Puritan Rumble or whatever it's called now.
Yeah.
There, that's what I was trying to get at.
I think some mechanical things that you should know would be if they pop your balloon and continue shooting at your balloon, it will be transferred to your hull armor.
Yes.
So you got to keep that in mind. As well, you know, cooldowns very important. Although I suppose not for a pilot. If your stuff's on fire, though, just understand that it's really difficult for your engineer to put out the fire and manage repairs at the same time.
On the topic
Nowadays.
of balloons, if you're in a ship like if you are piloting on the Junker and your balloon goes down, if you can literally look directly up and start hitting the balloon. You don't need to climb up the ladder to get to the
galleons
Yes,
like that too.
yes.
You can
Balloons
just
really
look
close
up,
to the galleon.
give it a couple of whacks. Just help out your engineer for a second.
If you're on the spire, the same thing works for that.
Does it?
Yeah. The
Yeah,
Oh,
balloon
you
the
has-
balloon's right
You can
behind
turn
the
around. Yeah, you
spire.
can turn around. It's right there behind you.
The thing I would the two ships you're gonna be flying the most in the beginning, which are the Pyramidion and the Goldfish. You don't worry about actually going to repair anything because it's too far away from the helm for you to do much.
The balloon is kind of close on the Goldfish, but I'd still recommend leaving that unless you're in a really bad situation.
Yeah. Or if you're out of combat and you just need to go give it like one last smack to get up to full health.
Oh, that's the other thing. When you're not in combat, make sure you have your crew on full repair mode. Don't
Oh yes.
if you're out of combat and there's no one nearby, repair. Don't just sit there and kind of wait and kind of, or if you're in a bad state, don't start rushing to combat again. Make sure you're actually ready for it.
Oh yes.
And half
That's
the times I've just seen a pilot just be on the brink of death and just go, oh, I know, let's travel across the whole map and kill this guy instead of stopping to repair.
yeah. It can
Yeah,
win
as a
you the game.
pilot, you have to keep an eye out on all your systems. Don't just
Yep.
leave the engineer to do it, because a few times I was shouted hull, and then the two engineers legged it from either side of the ship to the hull.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
pilot has the most influence on the whole ship. Whatever you call, your crew has to pretty much do it because
You need to make sure that your crew are on
Yes.
the hull as opposed to things like the engines if the hull's about to go down.
yes.
Or just always remember, you need to make sure that you're a little bit off topic, but you need to make sure your engineers are repairing.
What
need
you
to keep
want.
control of
In
your
order,
ship.
in order of importance, it's kind of like hull, balloon, engines. Okay.
Yes.
Then guns. Okay. Don't have your engineers repairing guns. Okay. If the hull is halfway down, make sure you always have someone near that hull.
Oh, without a doubt.
I know
Most of
it's
the
kind
time,
of talking.
you will have one of your engineers on your ship just sitting doing nothing but looking at the hole and hitting it. That's probably the safest thing you can do.
It may be boring for an engineer, or some engineers may kind of go, they might get a bit annoyed about it, but it's essential you have someone who is at least vaguely always keeping on that hull.
Yes.
I mean, on things like the even if it's something like on the Goldfish, you have a gun directly next to the hull. Okay, you can at least keep them an engineer near that engine, so that if it starts to go down, they can literally just turn around and get on it.
Yes. Anybody else have anything like mechanics wise or little tidbits people should know?
Not
probably
really.
think-
It's just
Probably
as
think of those.
pilot, on your ship at least, to watch your systems to make sure you know where your crew are as well. And whilst you're piloting, you can move your camera around, sort of just spinning around, so you can look for your enemy ships.
Okay. Pre-game, okay. Before the game's even started, okay. I like to say the people in this game, you get a lot of stubborn people out there, okay, and you need to make sure that you're not stuck in a situation where you're going into a game and you have 3 gunners or something like that. You need to make sure that you have
at least 2
at least-
engineers, mostly.
Yes.
the majority of the time you have 2 engineers and 1 gunner, or 3 engineers. I very rarely see more than 1 gunner on the ship at a time, because the only real time a gunner's needed is if you're firing heavy guns.
Yeah. Or you need
specific
specialized
guns.
shots for a certain gun.
It's just
Yeah.
devastating if you join a game as a pilot and you just have these people, and you have, you suddenly realize that you've gone into a game with 2 or 3 gunners. You need to make sure that before game you kind of you really need to just
You have to take
talk to
command
these
before the
people.
game even starts, basically.
you need to kind of say, like, look, you go engineer, you go gunner, and the minute you start in game and everyone's loaded in, or the minute even in the lobby beforehand, you just need to be talking to your crew, saying, okay, so I want you to go on hull. I need you to take the upstairs guns.
Yeah.
Really, just take control.
You can't be afraid to issue orders.
No.
You have to be firm about it. Like, you can't just be, do this, do that, do whatever you want. You have to tell your crew what needs to be done, or else.
I mean, in the
it's not
lobby,
gonna
it
get
is
done.
easier to do the type chat to your crew to order them what to do, because if you do the voice, the mic chat, you might just end up getting the ear rape covering over what you're trying to tell your crew. At the same time, if you do the mic whilst in the lobby, you might be giving your opponents an idea of what your plan is.
Yeah.
I think
does that cover that topic?
I think that's covered the topic nicely.
Before we go, though, I think Fade wanted to talk about something.
Yes.
No, Fade can wait for another episode.
You sure, Fade?
Okay.
Yes, I'm positive. You know what? It could probably be a whole episode in and of itself. So
Probably.
Well, it probably will be then. So,
Okay.
An episode
so-
called Fade Ideas.
Wait till next time to discuss.
Leave in the
to hear
comments
about
if you actually
Fade.
want to find that out.
If you want to know Fade's mystery topic, comment now.
leave a comment, being like, what the hell is Fade talking about?
Fade's
I do.
mysteriousness. Yes.
Find out what Fade is talking about. And,
So, that covers it. This has been the Guns of Icarus podcast, and I've been Demigo.
I've been Adeptus.
This was Fade Dragontear.
and I am 3 points down.
See you guys next time.
He had to check to see who he was.
Hey there, it's not as bad as you'd expect. True, you're not as wrecked, but it could have been over. Reach now and take your comrade by the hand. A fever's on the land, and we gotta go.